What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show. I'm Elliot Harrison, and I am joined by the irrepressible, lovable, dressed in black with the fraternity guy white undershirt.
I was trying to say, I think
Marcus
this is dark
Mosher.
blue. I think it's dark blue, but you can't really tell. It's fine.
I'm a big fan of Navy. You know, I've always thought, by the way, this is week 9 picks. I think I should say that. That's the episode. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now that we got the accounting out of the way, I should say that every man out there, you guys that are listening, make sure that you have a navy blue blazer or jacket, because it really goes for all occasions. It's the one thing you need to have. You can wear it to literally anything that you could possibly think of. And if you're looking for a gift for either a nephew or a son or a cousin, and you're like, I don't know what to get him for his confirmation or for Christmas, buying someone that's young that can't afford it a navy blue blazer, they could literally get so much mileage out of the thing. That is your public service announcement.
I would just say you typically open podcasts this way when you had a bad week of picks the week before. So just saying.
I appreciate the spear in the back for 400 yards. I did. I think I went 8-7. I need to look and verify that, but I'm pretty sure I went 8-7. So that brings me to 83-38 on the year. So, yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, there's several things that worked against me. That's the way it goes.
We'll do better this week. That's what we'll say. We'll do better, right?
I didn't know what was going to happen with several of the teams. I think a lot of people, though, probably struggled on their picks this week. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. If you're like in one of those eliminator survivor pools, you just got crushed, right? The Bengals didn't win. They lost to the Jets. You might have even taken the Vikings to beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush starting.
A lot of people did.
Yeah. Right. It was a rough week. The Browns lost to the Steelers at home. But tough week.
Yeah, the games that I missed out on, some of them were iffy picks. I did pick Washington on the road. I lost on that. I picked Atlanta. There were some unforeseen circumstances with the Falcons this week, but I'm actually think those circumstances were good for the player. They just didn't help the team very much, and that's the way it goes. That's okay. I thought Cleveland should have started Case Keenum. But yeah, this was definitely one of my worst weeks of picking games. But at the end of the day, if you would have told me before this season with all the unknowns that I would be 83-38, honestly, Marcus, I would have taken it.
All right.
You can't go
enough of you bragging on the show. I know you're very proud of your record. That's fine. You're doing well.
I'm proud of it when you bash me right off the top. I mean, how about next time I just say, hey, everybody, welcome into the Power Rankings Podcast. Here's my co-host, Marcus Mosher. His football opinions are really bunk, but hey, let's go. That's pretty much what you're doing.
I just gave you credit for your record being very good. I'm just saying you are very proud of it. That's all right. We're going to get into some picks, Elliot. How's that for a segment? Segue. Sorry.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you that, and I talked to you off the line a little bit, but I'm going to go to a baseball card store for the first time in ages, and I'm so excited about it. I want to complete my 1967 Philadelphia football card set. I'm kind of excited about that. I don't want to spend too much money though. That's the thing. So,
the trading card market is just booming right now. Like it's crazy. I go to the stores to look at like just boxes of cards, and they're all gone. So you might be in for some trouble here finding the rest of your set.
Well, if you Google image 1967 Philadelphia cards, the last year they made them, and then Topps took over. Topps was making AFL cards at the time, and Philadelphia made the NFL. But they're yellow bordered, so they're really unique. There's no other card set that looks anything like them because of the yellow border. And look, I see you smirking.
You're such a nerd. It's just what it comes down to.
Hey, you know what's rad, man? You know what's rad about it is when you've met a lot of guys in the card set.
That's cool.
Like I've got Leroy Kelly. He replaced Jim Brown as the Browns running back. And I went to a little bar in Canton, and there was a guy having a beer out of, I think it was a plastic cup. And or maybe I was having the beer out of the plastic
you don't
cup.
Remember a little fuzzy.
And I recognized him. It was just me and him. And I said, I'm sorry, sir. You look so familiar to me, but do you mind if I ask who you are? And he said, yeah, my name's Leroy Kelly. And of course I knew, I try not to geek out. So that's, it's really cool when you meet guys like that. I could give you 20 stories like that right now, but we're going to talk about some picks. So why don't you get us started? I don't know the lines.
Don't ask me about my Pokemon set from when I was like 12 of trading cards. So there you go. All right. Our first game, Elliot, is a Thursday night game between the Jets and the Colts. The Colts are 10.5-point favorites against Mike White and the Jets, the best quarterback in Jets history. Who do you have?
I think 10.5 is awfully rich. That's my first thought off the top. And I'm not going to overreact to last week. I get that the Colts are at home, but I don't trust Carson Wentz right now. And I think you can throw on this Colts defense. And if they don't want to put the ball in Jonathan Taylor's hands or run the ball more, even with Himes, who I know you're a fan of Himes, then how can you take the Colts to win by, in this case, they would need to win 28-17 for you to make money?
I'm still taking the Colts here. The Jets just aren't good. They had a game plan against the Bengals linebackers where they just threw the ball underneath the entire game, and Cincinnati never adjusted. They had a lot of luck in that one. I think the Colts are going to be fine. I think this is a big bounce back win. I'm thinking like 31-10, something like that.
I'm going to say I would stay away from the line on this. Sure. I'll pick the Colts to win straight up. What's our over-under on this?
I don't have it pulled up, but I'm assuming it's pretty low because this is a game in which you really think that Mike White's going to throw for?
No, I would expect that. I would though, but I think the Jets could put up 20. I would if it's under 48, I would consider betting the over.
All right, I got you right here. It is 46.
44. I was going to say 45.5. Yeah. So I'd be more inclined to bet the over on this game than I would be to bet the line. That's me. But I assume we're both taking the Colts straight up.
Yep. All right, next game. The Buffalo Bills at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bills are 14-point road favorites in this one.
Fine by me. I take the Bills to cover that. Obviously the Bills straight up. I don't like the way the Jags are playing right now altogether. No. Trevor Lawrence isn't getting any help. James Robinson, we've talked about him being the best player on their offense with the bruised heel. Your thoughts? I had to do it. I had to sneak it in. Just one. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Bills are going to win this game, but stay away from the spread because you need your team to win by 3 scores in order to cover the spread on the road.
Which they will.
They probably will. It's a lot, and we've
seen a lot. Bet on this one, bro.
Nah, no, because I think the Bills will win this one.
Hey, I'm drinking a McDonald's iced coffee since I've ruined our sponsorships with just about everyone, mostly Spectrum Cable, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Everyone, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
McCafe, we'd love your sponsorship. This is a really good iced coffee.
Taking the Bills straight up. Now, our next game is the Denver Broncos against the Dallas Cowboys. It seems like odds makers are expecting Dak Prescott to play because the Cowboys are 9-point favorites in this one. And Elliot, they are wearing the red stripe on the helmet for the first time since 1976.
Okay, so let's do our picks real quick, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. For me, I like the Cowboys to cover here. I watched a great deal of the Broncos-Washington game. The Broncos won the game. They were not impressive at all. I don't see any way they compete in this game. Maybe they hang around for a couple of quarters, but I think Dallas can run on them. I think Dallas can throw on them. And I don't think that Cowboys are necessarily going to get a big turnover game, as in takeaway game here.
No, that's just not what Teddy Bridgewater does, right? He does not turn the ball over. I think they will be able to run a little bit. Now, Denver's going to be without Von Miller. They obviously traded him away earlier this week. Their left tackle, Garrett Bowles, is out. Their slot corner, Bryce Callahan, who's really good, is also out of this game.
I was about to say, that's a big one.
Those are big ones. But that's still a big line. I'm probably staying away after. I just don't know how healthy Dak Prescott is. Picking the Cowboys straight up, but staying away from the line.
I like Dallas 30-17, bro. 31-17 in this
game.
With
those helmets, I would pick the Cowboys by 1 million. So you're probably right.
Real quick on that. So Tex Schramm, who used to be the president of the Dallas Cowboys, president and GM, a true innovator in the history of the NFL. The entire history of the NFL would be different without him. And that's not some kind of Cowboys bias. Ignore the wall behind me and Marcus for that matter.
Sure.
But they thought in 1976, with it being the bicentennial, we had the quarters with the Revolutionary War. Was it a drummer on the one side of the quarter?
Yep.
Do you have any of those?
Yep.
And Tex Schramm thought, we're going to put a red stripe on the center part of our helmet where the blue stripe is. And it was actually a really cool look. And old school Cowboy fans and even younger fans like you have always thought it was a really sharp look. And you, Marcus Mosher, are partially responsible for this.
Yeah, this was a Twitter campaign to try to get the Cowboys to do this. We reached out to somebody, I won't say who, but somebody in the Cowboys organization, and got it done. So it's really glad. I'm glad to see it's happening. All right, let's move on to our next game. The Minnesota Vikings and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are coming off a bye, and they are 6-point favorites in this one.
Oh.
Seems low, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But, we've talked about this a lot. If you did a consensus of all our podcasts, I would say the two teams that we've had the toughest time with are New Orleans and Minnesota, knowing what they are.
Yep.
I would feel the same way if New Orleans were going to Baltimore to play.
Yep.
My inclination is to pick the Ravens straight up. I kind of like the Ravens. If you're going to bet on this game, I would bet the Ravens to cover before I would bet the Vikings, but I would say stay away.
The Ravens are getting a couple guys back from injury. I think they're going to be fine. If Cooper Rush was able to dice up that secondary, I don't know what Lamar Jackson and that rushing attack is going to be able to do. No Danielle Hunter, which is obviously a big loss for Minnesota. I like the Ravens to win and cover on Sunday.
Well, we ran the stay away graphic because of what I said. I don't know if you noticed that, but Courtney was.
Yeah. Oh, she's on. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Joanna on the spot.
Yeah.
Sorry, Courtney. I should be. Yeah.
Our next one, you just mentioned this team. It's the Atlanta Falcons against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 5.5-point favorites, and we really don't even know who's the quarterback yet for New Orleans.
Well, I feel like this would be a classic Marcus Mosher stay away game. If I had to predict
I'm all in on Atlanta in this one. I don't like Matt Ryan as a favorite like he was last week, right? Like against Carolina, that was a bad spot. But when he's getting 5.5 points on the road, I think they can hang in this game. And I just don't think the Saints are going to be able to put up a ton of points. So I like Atlanta to cover a little bit.
Okay, a little bit. I like that. I like Atlanta to cover a little bit. So New Orleans straight up for both of us. If you're in your sorority league, your family league, cool.
Yep.
Marcus, if you're in a sorority league, that would be a little odd. Let's talk about over under here on this one, because this is the kind of game, because I don't want to tell you to stay away all the time. I like over unders much more than Marcus does, but I always agree with him. It's a gentleman's agreement we have that I don't look at the lines no matter what before we do this. So I'm going to try to guess here. Do you have it pulled up?
I do.
Given that this has got to be a tough over under to do, because as you mentioned, the uncertainty with the Saints quarterback situation, but the Falcons offense is not as good as it was for obvious reasons. Calvin Ridley's departure. I'm going to go on this one, another low. I think this is going to be even lower than the 45.5. I'm going to go 43.5.
42 at most sports books, and depending if you look around and you do some research, 41.5 at other places. So this one is really, really low.
Isn't that a little, I like the low over unders and you don't. This is a little too low for me.
I think so as well. I think both teams can get to 20 points, right? And I think we're looking at like a 23-20 type of game.
So do I. I think Vegas really did its job on this game. This would be a tough game for me to bet on either side. But I know you like Atlanta to cover.
I agree. Next one, Patriots versus the Panthers. The Patriots are 3.5-point road favorites. Excuse me.
Well, typically 3.5 is a tough line. I don't like it. The Panthers have been kind of waiting for Christian McCaffrey to come back, Marcus, but I trust the Patriots defense, and I could see the Patriots winning this game 24-20, which would cover. I'm inclined to pick the Patriots and to cover here.
So am I. Now, the Panthers did activate Christian McCaffrey from the injured reserve list. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to play this week because he's probably going to need some practices. Don't know the status of Sam Darnold. Sounds like PJ Walker might be starting for Carolina. That's a really tough spot. I'm not sure what's the better option for Carolina in this game, because the Patriots just have crushed Sam Darnold throughout his career, and PJ Walker is worse. So I like the Patriots a lot to cover in this one.
Yeah, and the more you talk about it, the more I like it. I was just thinking, even if the Patriots, because last week they got the win, but they didn't play great on offense. Mac Jones did not play great. Even if he plays like that again this week, I see them winning at least 24-20. the spread's 3.5. I know that marker could move, but in my mind, if anything, that marker would move the other way if Vegas was more confident that Christian McCaffrey was indeed going to play.
I don't think the Christian McCaffrey line, or whether he plays or not, swings the line at all. Just saying.
You don't even think it would take it down to 3 points, huh?
No, not at all.
All right.
We didn't even see.
I'm just gonna have my McCafe coffee.
We saw in the Titans-Rams game, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that line move a 0.5 point with the Rams acquiring Von Miller and Derrick Henry being out. So I don't think it's going to change a lot. Next one. It's a big game for the Raiders. The Raiders are -3 against the Giants on the road in New York.
Man, it's hard. You know, when the Raiders went through what they did a few weeks ago with John Gruden, I picked them against the Broncos, and I don't remember what the spread was, but I picked the Raiders straight through to cover and to win.
Yep.
That was a different situation than this.
It 100% is, yes.
And I think this is a very difficult game to predict. I like the Raiders, though, to win this game outright. With the line being 3, I would be inclined that they will cover that. But this is a very touch and go type of game, I think, to put your money on.
I would stay away for this one for a million different reasons. But if I had to pick a team, I would pick the Raiders. But, oh, man, obviously this whole Henry Ruggs thing is going to hang over this team. And how could it not, right? Like, that's somebody that the locker room loved, and now he could be in jail for the rest of his life. And then on top of that, Elliot, he was a big part of this offense. Like, he was leading the team in receiving yards. He was their deep threat. He led the team in receiving touchdowns. It's going to hurt not having him on the field. So I think you just want to stay away from this one.
As you've talked about before, and something I'm a big proponent of, kind of that Bruce Arians mentality of when you play us, you're going to have to defend every blade of grass.
Yep.
Because we are going to throw a 9-ball to him at some point, and
multiple times a half.
What's that?
Yeah, they typically do it multiple times a half. Yeah,
do 9 balls. You bet. So, yeah, I would stay away from this game as well. But I do like the Raiders in a pick'em league.
All right, a big AFC North matchup: the Browns and Bengals. The Bengals are only 2.5 point favorites at home in this one.
Yeah. You know, I would be inclined to pick the Browns here because I think their backs are against the wall, but I think the Bengals are embarrassed by what happened last week. I think they can easily win by a field goal. They're only 2.5 point favorites, and Baker Mayfield is not healthy. And with the Odell Beckham news, I don't know how I could pick the Browns with any confidence. So this is not a game I love. This is another game that I think the over under should be low on, but what do you think?
I don't have a great feel for this game. My gut tells me the Browns are going to win because I think they need this win more.
Oh, they need it so bad.
They need it because if they lose this game, I don't want to say their season's done, but they're in a bad place in the AFC as I think 12 teams have at least 4 wins in the conference. You can't lose your 6th game of the season. It's a rough one. The over under 47. Seems like
I'm inclined to say this game is going to be lower than that.
I agree. A slow paced game, both teams running the ball a lot, right?
Yeah. I think the key matchup in this game is the Bengals run defense versus the Browns running backs.
Yep.
Obviously Chubb had been out when Dearness Johnson had his big game, but now they have multiple running backs. The Bengals run defense has actually been pretty solid this year, Marcus. Yep. So I'm inclined because of that, because what's going on with Baker. I like the Bengals to win this game by a field goal. So they're going to cover and they're going to win.
All right. Our next game. I know that you love to watch obscure, awful games because it's just who you are.
I do have a bad habit.
But I don't even know if you would watch this one. It's the Houston Texans against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 6.5 point favorites, and I cannot understand why. The team that's number 32 in our power rankings is a 6.5 point favorite this week.
Tyrod starting? Do we have?
No, it's going to be Davis Mills. It sounds like again.
I don't understand that. What is going on with Tyrod? That's what I want to know.
It sounds like it's a pretty severe hamstring injury, and they want to make sure he's all the way back before playing him.
I get that with Dak. I mean, if it's that bad, then it was kind of a little bit of a rhetorical question when I said what's going on. I recognize what the team is doing.
Yeah.
It's more that you're not a contender, which I mean, I guess makes sense. You obviously don't want to get your player hurt, but I bet you Tyrod wants to play so badly right
but
now.
They're probably protecting him from himself a little bit, right? Because the
yes,
worst thing he could do is go out there and pull it again and be done for the season, right?
Right.
You'd rather see 5 really good games at the end of the year from him going forward, you know?
It's just when I say what's going on, it's got to be really severe because he went out in the third quarter of week 2 at Cleveland. Usually hamstring injuries don't go from halftime of week 2 all the way into week 9. I say that my brother ran hurdles at Rice and he had a terrible hamstring injury. So they can be awful. I just don't remember at the time it being reported is that bad. Ooh, it got all mysterious in here. Look at that. Sorry about that.
All right.
If you're listening to us, my light just went out. How weird.
It's strange. It's all right.
It's kind of spooky.
I'm taking the Dolphins here. I'm completely staying away from that spread. You got to be an absolutely degenerate gambler to bet on that spread.
I don't like your judgment.
Well, I'm just saying if you bet on that game, 1-800-GAMBLER.com or whatever the number is. It's not gambler.com. It's whatever it is. No, it's not. I'm just making it up. I have no idea what the number is. All right, next game. In a game that I don't understand at all as you mess with this line.
I still want to know what's going on with Tyrod's hamstring.
All right, well, we'll figure it out. Next one, a line that I don't understand at all. Chargers, -2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Why is this not 3 or more?
Well, we always assume that Vegas knows what it's doing. And I don't know how much. Have you monitored this line at all to see if it's moved much? Because I know you like to check right after the previous week's games.
So I will say this: it started at 3. Okay, Chargers 3, and since then, I'm looking at the updated lines right now. Depending on where you shop for your lines, it's -1 in some places for Chargers. So it's gone down 2 points since the end of the game.
Well, let me say this. The Chargers did not play well as a team against New England, and they played absolutely awful against Baltimore. Now, Marcus does have a point. I tend to watch Atlanta Giants before I watch Chargers Ravens, but I watched almost the entire Chargers Ravens game. This was the game the Chargers had before the bye. They looked absolutely terrible.
Yeah, they were awful.
I'm all over the Chargers on this. I recognize the Eagles blew out the Lions, but the Lions were awful in that game. Awful. I don't know that the Eagles have turned the corner with running the ball. They gave their running backs 37 rushing attempts. Marcus, I don't trust them there. And if I'm a team, I'm running right at the Chargers. That's exactly what I want to do with that group. That's what the Patriots did with them. No problem. Give me the Chargers all day on this.
It just feels like it's such a big disadvantage at quarterback for the Eagles that I have a hard time believing they're going to win this game. I know Herbert's really struggled over the last 3 games. I just can't pick against him here. I know going to East or West Coast to East Coast, some of the records there are a little funky, but I'm taking the Chargers.
I could see. Let me just make one point here. I could see the Chargers offensive line having a hard time with the Eagles defensive line.
I agree. That's the one spot the Eagles are really good at with Jaron Hargrave and Fletcher Cox.
Yep. And it's an area that the Chargers have really struggled as of late. But I think we need the Courtney graphic, don't we? If we're both so diehard here.
But are we? This is the lock of the week. Is it what you're saying?
I mean, it could be one of many.
I think we'll call it a lock. It's a lock for us. Yeah. There we go. All right. Our next one, Elliot. This one's a real bummer. It's Packers and Chiefs. Chiefs are now 8-point favorites. Before today, when Aaron Rodgers was ruled out for COVID, the Packers were actually 1-point road favorites in this game. Mm-hmm. And now that line has and the line is completely moved. Now, there are a couple places you can get it at 7.5. So if you're worried about the 8, go out and shop for the best ones. But what do you think?
I mean, it's obviously an unknown. We talk about this a lot. I don't think Green Bay can shut down Kansas City's offense, though. I know Kansas City has not been playing great, but when they turn it on, they do turn it on. And also, how tired is that Packers defense going to be if the offense is going 3 and out? That's the other thing you have to factor in here. I would be inclined to go with Kansas City before I would be inclined to have Green Bay here in terms of gambling. Obviously, I'm taking the Chiefs straight up. I'm curious what the over-under is on this game as well.
So it started at 54.5 and it's moved down only to 52.5.
At 54.5, I would have gone under all day.
So did I. Yep.
52 is a little bit trickier to say that. I don't know that I would gamble on this game at all, Marcus. I think I'd just be more comfortable saying, hey, in your family league or your pick'em league, take the Chiefs and call it a day.
All right. You ready for my prediction? This is the lock of the week for me. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Packers +8. That's too many points. The Chiefs are 17-1 in the last 21 games.
You love that stat.
They have been awful. And again, against the Giants at home, they failed to cover the spread. And that game was close. The Giants could have easily stolen that game. I think the Packers are going to be able to run the ball because they have two good running backs. They have a good offensive line. And the Chiefs can't stop anybody. And they've got Jordan Love who can kind of move out around in the pocket, get some rushing yards. I think this game is close. The Chiefs offense is, it's so frustrating. They turn the ball over in the red zone. They settle for too many
a lot of points, man. They still score points.
Do they? I mean,
yeah, they do.
How many did they score last week?
Okay.
How many did they score the
cherry pick?
No. How many did they score the week before that? Was it 3 against the Titans? They scored about 23 points total over the last 2 weeks. They're struggling, and they could get to 24, 27 points in this game. But that means the Packers would still only need to score 20 to cover. I'm taking Green Bay to cover this.
They're still averaging 26 a game. I would be more inclined, if I'm going to bet on this game, I'd be more inclined to take the under versus the line on this.
Next one, Cardinals at 49ers. The Cardinals are 1 point road favorites in this one.
Yeah, this is a tough game to predict. Obviously, Kyler Murray has been banged up. The Cardinals coming off of a big loss, but they've got extra rest on this game. The 49ers got a big win in Chicago, but they played, let's be honest, a below mediocre Bears team. I don't want to say a bad Bears team.
Yep.
Do I think the 49ers can beat them? I do. I don't think they're gonna. I'm going to take the Cardinals on the road here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers straight up in this game. Cardinals have really struggled to win in San Francisco for a long time. The last meeting was pretty close between these two teams just a couple of weeks ago, and that was with Trey Lance in his first start. I think the 49ers are going to be able to run the ball, keep it close. Kyler Murray is banged up. So is DeAndre Hopkins dealing with a hamstring injury. I think this game is close.
Well, one thing I've been saying this for weeks, and I said it leading up to the Green Bay game, regardless of the situation with the Packers wide receivers, the way you beat the Cardinals is to run right at them. And we saw that with Green Bay. In fact, Green Bay should have run at them more, Marcus, when they had two separate goal-to-go situations. You know the 49ers are going to do that. Mitchell has run pretty well for that team. He really has. If you've watched their games at all, and even Jimmy Garoppolo got into the running act last week. So I think this is a good pick by you. I'm torn. There's always one game that you really make me rethink my position.
That one is just going to be a really tight game. So if you want to stay away from it, yeah,
it was tight last time. Yep. When they played in Arizona, and that's when Trey Lance got hit at the goal line. I'm going to circle back to that. Circle back.
Our Sunday night game, and I actually want to tie our Sunday night and Monday night games together in a second, but the Rams against the Titans, the Rams are 7.5 point home favorites. I like the Rams in this spot. I think the Titans are really going to struggle without Derrick Henry. In the first couple games, I like the Rams.
I do too. I don't like the Titans secondary at all right now. They've played better. I will give them credit. They've played better, but I think they're going to have a really hard time with Kupp and with Woods. I've told you that I'm a fan of the way the Rams have run the ball so far this year. It's been a little bit of a surprise to me. And then, I'm kind of with you. I think if we're comparing Matt Stafford and Josh Allen as MVP candidates, then I'm going to take Matt Stafford. I still think Kyler Murray, though, is in that running.
I agree. Our Monday night game is the Steelers and the Bears. The Steelers are 6 point home favorites in this one.
That's a lot of confidence in Pittsburgh. I'm not saying 6 points is a huge line. It's not a huge line, but it's sizable. It's sizable. This has got to be another low scoring game. It just has to be. And at some point, the Bears are going to have to generate a pass offense. And I don't think Justin Fields running all over the field is going to win this game for Pittsburgh.
No.
But they're going to have to get an above average game from Ben Roethlisberger to win. They're going to have to. They cannot have a Ben Roethlisberger style game and win. He needs to play well for them to beat the Bears.
I disagree. I don't think he needs to play well because I think the defense is going to win this game for Pittsburgh, much like we saw last week. Like, I think there's a good chance they hold Chicago to 10 points and all the Steelers have to do is score 13 to win this. And I think they can get, enough in the field goal, the kicking game. They might get a defensive score or a turnover. Here's what I would do for these two night games. I don't love the spreads on either of these games. I would pick Steelers and I would pick the Rams to cover. But what you should do is parlay the Rams in the Steelers money line. So all the Rams have to do is win. All the Steelers have to do is win. And you get even odds on that. I think that's the better bet here.
I love that idea. Let me say this. I disagree with you, though, on your assessment of the game, because when you play a team that's going to throw the ball 35 times a game, I think that works into Pittsburgh's favor defensively. If the Bears only throw the ball 20 times and they have Justin Fields running the ball, I think that takes a little bit out of it for the Steelers. And I think they actually are going to have to do something offensively. I don't mean Ben Roethlisberger needs to throw for 420 yards. I'm just saying, Marcus, he can't have one of his dink and dunk, throw everything at the line of scrimmage and beat the Bears that way, in my opinion.
The biggest mismatch of the week for any team is Chicago's offensive line against Pittsburgh's defensive line. Cam Hayward is going to wreak havoc in this game. Wreak havoc. I don't know. We always mess it up. The
problem is, does that work into the Bears' favor, though? Because if Justin Fields is one read and go, and he feels that pressure and he feels the confidence after last week to take off and make plays down the field, that's going to be difficult for them to stop.
This defense is so much faster than the 49ers. And the fact that it's a night game in Pittsburgh, I don't have my doubts. I don't have any confidence that Fields is going to convert on third down. And that's really the way to be. 40.
This has got to be low.
40.
Boy, I'd be inclined to go the under on 40 before I'd go the over. What about you?
I would say the under. I really think it's going to be a 20-10 type of game here. I don't see Chicago scoring more than 13 points. I really don't.
So you like Pittsburgh to win by at least 7? I
do, but
you'd parlay it. I get it.
I parlay it just because there's some opportunities for some backdoor covers here. And if the scheme is going to be that kind of low scoring, I'd rather just take the money line here.
Yeah, I would take the under, and I would take the Steelers, but I do think Ben Roethlisberger cannot play cruddy in this game and have them cover. I don't.
Well, I don't disagree. I think he can play bad and still be fine because he was bad last week against the Browns and they still won that game in Cleveland. So,
do you know what my favorite thing about this discussion is?
What's that?
That I always manage to talk about the most junky matchups and teams for way longer than the good ones.
That's all right. We should run through our games just to say who we're picking.
I want to circle back to one thing. You have officially changed my mind. I'm going to give you credit. I'm going to go with you on the 49ers Cardinals. Okay. The more I think about it, I've been harping on this, that I don't know why teams weren't running at the Cardinals more. I think the 49ers absolutely will do that. I am a Shanahan fan, by the way. I think he's a good head coach, Marcus. Win, lose, or draw this week. And even if they don't make the playoffs, I think his job is stable. It should be. I'm going to go with you on that. So congratulations for changing my mind. Thank you.
Keep an eye out on that line. I would not be surprised if it shifts more towards Arizona as we get into the week. But all right, let's go through the games. We both have the Colts to beat the Jets. I have the Colts to cover. I have the Jets to cover. You have the Colts to cover?
Right? Listen, no.
You just want to stay away.
You had the Colts to cover. I had the Jets to cover.
All right. Maybe I said it backwards. That's fine. Don't bet on that game. Sorry. Bills, Jags. I like the Bills to win. I'm staying away from the line. You like the Bills to cover. Broncos, Cowboys. I like the Cowboys to win. So do you. I like the Broncos to cover. You have the Cowboys to cover. Vikings, Ravens. We both like the Ravens to win. You're a little bit more hesitant on picking the Ravens to cover. I like the Ravens to cover that 6-point spread. Falcons, Saints. I like the Saints to win, the Falcons to cover, and so do you. Patriots, Panthers. We both like the Patriots to win and cover.
Yep.
Raiders, Giants. We both think the Raiders would win, but we would stay away from this game. Browns, Bengals. I think I like the Browns to win this one outright.
You're so sketchy on that.
I am. It's a stay away. It's a stay away, right?
I'm going Bengals there. I hate it, but I'm going Bengals.
Okay. Texans, Dolphins. You shouldn't bet on this game, but we both like the Dolphins to win.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Your 32 team, you're going to move them up this week in your power rankings. Chargers, Eagles.
Did you just say my 32th team?
32nd.
Oh, okay. I thought you said my
32nd team. I don't know.
Yeah.
Chargers, Eagles. We both think that line is dumb, so we're taking the Chargers -2. Packers, Chiefs. I love the Packers to cover, but the Chiefs to win. You like the Chiefs to win.
I have more faith in their offense, but I like the under in this game.
You like the under. Good.
Yeah.
I've convinced you to go to the dark side. We both like the 49ers to win and cover against the Cardinals. Rams, Titans. We both like the Rams to cover and to win. I would parlay that with the Monday night game with the Steelers money line, but we both like the Steelers to win.
I love that idea.
Okay, so there you go. That's week 9.
But I'm still inclined Steelers Bears to go the under on 40, and it takes a lot of guts to go the under on 40. It does. And it takes away all the fun for Marcus Mosher to root for. You've told me this many times. You're like, how can you do that, dude? It just makes the game fun.
Because I'm going to point this out again. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You watch the majority of football games by yourself, right?
Yes.
All right.
Why do you make me sound? I mean,
I'm just saying.
No, but listen, you're a loser.
Listen,
you're swiping on Bumble, watching games by yourself. Why don't you just say that? Why don't I get us a sponsorship with Bumble?
I thought you were more of like a farmersonly.com.
Go ahead.
No, if you really want to study the NFL and like really watch these games, you have to watch them by yourself, because when you watch them with other people, it's way too distracting. There's too many other things going on. But there's also some benefits to that. You want to be the fun guy watching the games. You want to be rooting for points. Nobody likes the Elliot Harrison who's rooting for a 10-3 game, right? That's what it is.
Here's something I wrestle with. And I know you're ready to get out of here. We always try to do it. We always try to do a 30-minute pod. We always fail. But here's the thing. Sometimes I wrestle with, and probably because I'm new. Look, I'll be honest with all you guys that are listening. I'm new to the podcast sphere. I did a lot of things in my career. Hosting a podcast was just the one thing I never did. Mm-hmm. And so I wrestle with how X and O and how detailed to get, because I tend to keep it pretty light. But I do watch these games by myself, and I will heavily lock in to even Giants Falcons. And I love the strategy of the game. I don't prefer to talk that way on this podcast. Just like when we talked about the red stripe on the Cowboys helmets, I could go all day with you.
Oh yeah. We can nerd out on that.
Yeah. I can nerd out on it, but
maybe we should talk about on our Friday show, the best uniforms of all time in the NFL.
Well, no, you owe me a top 50 receivers ever. Right. But like when we get into some of these games, like the Steelers Bears, I would love to talk about how do you defend Justin Fields after what you saw last week on tape. That's why I'm saying I really don't think the Steelers can just sit there and have a 17-22 for 153 yard from Ben Roethlisberger and cover a 6.5 point spread, man. I don't see that. That's why I love your idea of the parlay. I wish I would have thought of that, but I never think of the super gambling details.
That's all right.
That's your job.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
We got Packers Rams on a money line parlay. Should be a lot of fun. Before we go, Elliot, every week you give us a $10,000 bet. One game. Hurry before we go.
Wait, why the music?
Give it to us. Hurry.
I'm thinking. I'm gonna go Rams. Rams to cover.
Yeah. Rams to cover. Love it. See you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.